Okay, can everybody see this slide here? It says Rani-ki-Vav, where every step tells a story. Yes? Okay. All right. Okay, so let's go into the presentation. Rani-ki-Vav is basically it is a queen stepwell, but is also the queen of stepwells, and it is completely, it's totally, completely. I'm also like I'm grasping for words here. It is very, very special because it is spectacular, not only in scale, but it is spectacular in the detail of the stepwell. I like to think that it should be on the same par as something like, say, Khajuraho or even the Taj Mahal for that matter, because it is so intricately and lovingly adorned inside. The stepwell itself, engineering as an engineering marvel is just amazing. But then when you get inside, you just can't stop looking around. And so we did touch upon the overview the last time, but I will let Nirav tell you more. Nirav, would you like to join us now? And you can start your video. Hello, Nirav.
Hello.
Yeah, there you are.
Hello.
Sitting in the middle of the stepwell.
Namaste. Welcome, everybody.
Namaste. Welcome. It's like 4:30 in the morning for Nirav. But he's smiling and ever so pleased to see you all.
Good.
Last time he was very disappointed.
Oh,
I messed up, and again, my apologies for that. So Nirav is going to take us through the Rani-ki-Vav. Last time in the previous presentation, I gave you an overview of Rani-ki-Vav. And Nirav will very quickly take you into the treasures, the zero in on the sculptures, the 500, the thousands of little sculptures that you see inside Rani-ki-Vav. Okay, so let's move on. So this is the present day. Now, I found this photograph, and I thought this showed, like, you can see the top part where it's the ground level view, and also it's a very, very lush photograph. You can see most of us have been here in January when it's quite dry, and this is what it must look like during the monsoons. You can see that there's been fresh rainfall and how beautiful it looks. So this is how, if you're standing at the well shaft and looking into the stepwell, this is the view that you will get. And Nirav, I'm sure you've gone when it's been the monsoon and it's
yes.
raining, and it must have a completely different feel, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
It's excellent.
Okay, so over to you now. You can tell me when you want me to advance the slides, so you can take it away from here.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shilabel.
You're welcome.
Well, so that's the about Patan stepwell. Patan, that's the oldest sketch or some photos of stepwell available in 18th century, where only well shaft, the center well, is visible. And Patan was the capital of Gujarat, so that's the oldest photograph of stepwell we can archive. Thank you. Next, Shilabit. Well, about Patan. Patan was the capital of Gujarat, ruled by Hindu dynasties, Rajput Solanki dynasties. And Patan was the capital of Gujarat from 9th to 13th century. And that was like a height of Gujarat craft, art, architecture was in zenith during this dynasty. Patan, here you can, this is a image from Google Earth, we got it. Here you can see this is a Rani-ki-Vav. That's the stepwell, which we discovered recently. Actually, it was there, but we can say rediscovered in 1981, quite recently, around 40 years back. Yeah. So Rani-ki-Vav was discovered properly. And if you notice, can you see a circle around here? That's the old 11th century pattern. Can you see also my screen and scrolling?
I Yeah, I can't, but I know we've gone through this, so you tell me where you
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, so this
So
is the
that's
old, this is the old city.
circle.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So that's the old city of Patan. Everything is buried. Only Stepwell is excavated in 1981. Yeah.
Right.
So 13th century,
Mm-hmm.
Islamic attack happened in this region of North Gujarat part. That Patan is in North Gujarat and border towards Rajasthan. So in 13th century, Islamic attack happened in this region. So one of the ruler, Khilji, he destroyed everything in this part of Gujarat. He attacked, destroyed, robbed everything. And Patan was abandoned for 200 years. Nothing there. 13th century came, attacked, destroyed, and gone. Nothing 200 years. 200 years later, many people, they converted Islam or they accepted Islam during this period. And the new city of Patan was discovered, founded in 15th century by converted Muslim dynasty. So here you can see next to it, that's Google Earth. That's a new city of Patan, 15th century.
15th, right.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's the 15th century Patan. And that we call Gujarat Sultanate period. That's again a long story of this Sultanate architecture, which has a very mixed influence of Hindu, Muslim, and Jain architecture in Gujarat Sultanate architecture. Well, so we talk about Patan Stepwell. So only Stepwell is excavated. By looking at this image, you can see how much treasure is buried in this Patan. So I go often there. So often we find some road work or drainage line going. We always find some nice sculpture coming out. That's a lot of treasure buried in Patan.
Right,
Thank you,
right.
Sheila.
And there was also a case where once it was silted, it was on the land of a landowner. Like a landowner had use of the stepwell, and he was carting away so much rock and sculptures to build
Yeah.
his own stepwell, wasn't that? There was a
Yes.
interesting in the 18th century, I think. Uh,
Yes.
yes, yes. Okay, so
Madhurshan.
this tells us about the
Well,
water management of that time. Yeah,
well,
carry on.
water management is an excellent thing. See, stepwells or whatever we say about life is a water. So water management is an excellent thing in Patan town, 11th century. So here you can see like kind of a dry riverbed. They call it river Saraswati now. That river is around 450 meters wide. And that's a shallow flowing river. Near this Patan town, there is a mountain range called Aravalis. So this river flows very high in monsoon time because the mountain range of Aravali floods this river. And round the years, it's flow very shallow. Shallow means less than a meter.
Hmm.
Wide riverbed, less than a meter. That's one of the reason you can see now Rani-ki-Vav in the circle, right? Patan town was built 2 kilometers from the river. Often we find all the cities built next to the river, not far. So this was built 2 kilometers away from the river because the river floods in monsoon and round the year it flows shallow. And to connect river and the town, can you see another pin like Sahasralinga Lake here? Sahasralinga Lake was another water management system which provides the water from river to Patan town. So then an excellent water management system providing river to Patan. There is can be another slideshow about presentation about Sahasralinga Lake.
Yes, we remember. I remember going to this on our last tour, and it was completely deserted. Sahasralinga Lake was completely deserted, but oh, so spectacular. I mean, silted over. Parts of it were silted over as well, and so
Yes,
they must have. So they must have built this town at least 2 kilometers away from the river, because obviously when it flooded, they didn't want it to be anywhere close to the river, but and yet close enough so that they could channel the water and basically use it for agriculture and servicing the town and so on. So that was I guess that was the thinking behind there. And then there's this lake
yes,
also formed part of that whole system, didn't it? Yes.
yes.
So let's go to the
Next.
next one. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's the photo when they start rediscovering the stepwell. You can see in the last image, there is a kind of well shaft that was the only open part before. We didn't know what inside other things are. It was just discovered accidentally. Once during a monsoon time, some part collapsed, and the local archaeology department discovered, oh, there should be something. They start excavating, and it was a jackpot. So they started in 1981, excavating the Stepwells.
Yeah.
Next 11, please.
That's what
So
it
these
is.
photos we archived from archaeology department. So that was in 1984. This photo.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked in archaeology part in few sites in Gujarat. I work also in Patan. It's like, we discovered we dig with kind of instrument like a nail filer, that kind of instrument we have to dig. And once we hit any hard things, we clean these things with a toothbrush, kind of soft brush.
Yeah.
So, and we check the silt again, nothing is inside. It's very long work. It
Right.
took almost 20 years to excavate this step well properly.
So were you involved in excavating this in 1980, nearby? When
No,
were
I
you
was
involved?
no, not in this step well I was involved. I was involved in other project in Patan town because I
Right.
was born in 1981.
Oh, you
So,
yeah, well, you know, he's a younger one, but very bright, as you can see. So
so at
anyway,
the
yes,
time,
math is just as good as my time zone reckoning. But yeah, so I remember you saying that you were involved in some of the excavation in later years, probably when in
later years,
your
yeah,
college days.
because
It went on from
yes,
the time you were born till
yeah.
later,
Yes.
right? Till they were
So
lab.
recent excavated in Patan, not in the stepwell, because as we saw in the first slide, there are a lot of things buried around the step in Patan town. So I was associated with another water body which was rediscovered in 2014-15. So at
Mm,
that time I was associated with another part of stepwell, not stepwell, another excavation in Patan town.
I see.
So I've worked in three sites in Patan, in Chapaner, and in Lothal.
Okay, right. And so this is what it looks like right now, which was also
Yes.
the first slide that you saw. And yeah, it is just spectacular. I remember when I first saw this and I kind of came up here and I walked and I said,
Mhm.
where is this model? Like, what is all this about? I had no inkling. This was the first step well that I ever saw. And it's completely invisible, like as you're walking up on the ground level up here from the entrance
Mhm.
gate, and then you come and stand here and then you look down this structure and
Yeah.
and honestly you have to blink your eyes because it's unbelievable, it's incredible. So that's what it looks like. So a few slides
Yes.
here of what it looks
Yes. That's yeah. So you can see the first two. This is 7th floor underground. It's like inverted pyramids.
like. Right.
Seven. So you can see first couple of floor, which is renovation by archaeology department, which is a plate because the first two floors gets more weather effect, tree, root. So first two floors were closed. Now one big question is how this was buried. One easy theory, at the time of excavation, we found the silt from the river.
Silt. Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
yes, it was from river nearby. So we found the river silt. So it was flooded with filled with the river silt, that's sure. But
Mhm.
why it was buried, that's still a big question mark for all the archaeologists.
Mm.
One easy theory it says river flooded this step well and people stopped it. The counter question comes, why not people re-excavated it? Because there was a massive good architecture in it. It happened in history that many times this disaster of floods or something happened and people reclaim it. But
Right.
people forgot about this that well. They never talk about it. We had a kind of stories like I'm originally from this part of Gujarat, North Gujarat, near Patan. That's my native, my roots are. So my grandmother was saying all the time when I was kid, like, oh, the queen has a built three stepwells around Patan. That was like tell from grandmother to mother and all this going on. One discovered. So
Mm.
it's the stories were two, there should be two more stepwells
There should be two
around
more.
Patan,
Yes. Yes.
according to the local stories of this region. What my grandmother used to tell me.
Right, right. Maybe perhaps by the time your daughter, Nishta, is old enough to excavate. By the way, today is World Heritage Day. It's a very auspicious day. And also, it is Nishta's birthday. Nirav has a lovely little daughter. and she goes to explore Stepwells just the same way that Nirav went with his grandfather and his father, I'm sure, to go explore Stepwells and run around all these pillars. Can you imagine a playground like that for a child? Well, you'd have to obviously keep a really close watch on them, but yes. So today's World Heritage Day. Happy World Heritage Day and happy birthday to Nishta. All right, so
Well, so the big question mark is how it was buried. One theory it says the river flooded it and people forgot it. But see, people might have reclaimed it. The second theory it says that people might have buried it deliberately to protect from Islamic khilji rulers, because there are a lot of iconography, a lot of statues, sculptures are there. So they destroyed religiously. So that's another theory. People buried it deliberately. And where to get the silt from? Easy way to get from shallow riverbed. So it's a two theory. But when you see the size of that, how if I want to bury this now, how many tons of the silt I needed? It's impossible to bury now
yeah,
in 21st century. Not impossible, but it's a big, messy work to bury now. So how can they bury it that time? The
yeah.
counter question comes, if they can dig it, they can build it, they can bury it.
Mm.
So it's still a question mark
Yeah,
that how it was buried.
yeah, yeah,
Well, so that's all these kind of nice images, and there are many hundred statues and sculptures in the Stepwells.
yeah.
Each and every statue, each and every sculpture has a story behind it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And
So
and
these are
there's about 500 of these principal sculptures,
yes,
and then thousands and thousands of these tiny little ones, and look at the intricacy. I mean, each pillar is carved differently. Like each one is unique. And I forget the number of pillars, I think 600 pillars or something. And then it was buttressed by these platforms, which also served as a resting place. It was a caravanserai. So this would have been a resting place for the merchants, right, Mr.
yes,
Right? Yes. Yeah.
yes,
So, and then, they were deliberately made this way and with narrow ledges on the side to prevent livestock. If the merchants were sleeping here with their livestock, then the livestock, basically stayed contained in this area. And also it discouraged thieves if they could, if
yes,
they would fall down into the water. So they're very
yeah,
cleverly designed, but also the main reason was that these platforms were to buttress the enormous weight of the earth wanting to cave in.
yes, that's
Am
true.
I correct? Yeah. This much
Yes.
learned from Nirav Bhai. Yes. Am I a good student? Is the question.
We are good friends.
After how many times at Rani-ki-Vav, I've lost count the number of times I've visited this, and it still is my favorite.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go on.
Well, so in Hinduism, there are three main gods, we say. One is a Brahma, who is the creator of the earth, Vishnu, manager, Shiva, a destroyer and a remaker. Yes. So Shiva controls the destroyness. So when we talk about Vishnu, this stepwell has a lot of representation of Vishnu as a manager. So Vishnu as being a manager has a many incarnation. We locally call avatars. It's an incarnation, we can say. So there are 9 incarnation already happened, and 10 is going to be happen by Vishnu. That says the Vishnu will come on a white horse and earth will end and we restart again. So that's
Yeah.
very interesting. That can be another presentation about all the how practical incarnation of Vishnus are. Well, here, if you see on the left, the first, there's one half boar, half male. That's the incarnation of Vishnu called Varah Avatara. According to the story, Earth is a goddess, fell into the sea. Then Vishnu performed himself, half boar, half male, and is rescuing Earth on his elbow. So if you see on his elbow, Earth goddess is sitting. This little lady on his elbow.
Up here. Yeah.
Yeah. And when we look at the statues, the proportion in the stepwell is very well designed. Like say at the time of swimming, our body turns in certain angles, like see the back is gone, sees one of the finger is down. So it's like coming out from the sea. So it's perfectly the proportion of the statues. Yeah. On the
Beautiful.
right, another statue is the dwarf incarnation of Vishnu, dwarf incarnation called a Vamana Avtara. See again the proportion, very accurate. If somebody want to show a dwarf person how the centimeter or millimeter of the fingers should be, a toe should be, see the short legs, standing in this gesture called Tribhanga,
Sorry.
this portion. Yeah, with resting kind of pose, it's called Tribhanga. To make dwarf work statue in this pose is not an easy job.
Mm.
Yeah.
That was also an avatar of Vishnu.
This is also Avatar of Vishnu, dwarf incarnation.
Okay.
Yeah. Next 11, please.
Mhm.
Well, on the left, you can see, so they're iconographically represented differently. On the left, that's incarnation of Vishnu Rama. I can iconograph by bow and arrow he's holding. That's the Rama incarnation. Yeah. Now on the right, that's the Buddha. Hindu believes that Buddha was incarnation of Vishnu, when Buddhists they believe Buddha was as a prophet Buddha. But interestingly, all the incarnation of the Hindus we find with the four arms.
Hmm.
So as long as I have seen only here Buddha with the four arms.
Wow.
In most other places, Buddha statues and temples and many things, you find Buddha as a prophet Buddha with
Right.
two arms. Here is very rare to see Buddha as a Vishnu's incarnation with four arms.
Okay. And the way to spot a Vishnu sculpture is because of the conch shell, the mace, the lotus flower, and
Mhm.
the disc, right? So this would be the disc,
Yes,
I think, yeah,
yes,
in the halo. Yes,
yes,
those are the four
yes,
attributes of Vishnu, and each one
yes,
basically symbolizes the arms actually symbolize a particular virtue. So it could be purity, the lotus is for purity, or the mace is for strength, and so on.
yes.
Okay, so this has to be my favorite frieze. Huh?
Yes. Would you like to say something, Shilaben, or may I?
So,
The Sola
no,
Shringar.
yes,
That's,
this is about the 16 types of makeup. So
yeah,
yeah, please, yeah, tell us more, Nirav.
sure. See, that many representation thing in the iconographical thing, they say there are 16 steps of makeup for the women. Yeah. So these are the showing the different steps of makeup. Sola Shringar, locally we call it. Often you see these temples or statues, sculptures in a stepwell, or if you've been to India, the temples, you find the dancing women, they're getting ready for the makeup. So that has a 16 steps. Everything is well organized. There is a reason. All topic of this iconography and makeup. So Sola Shringar. We can have a closer look of that. See, that lady is doing lipsticks, 11th century lipsticks. Yeah. So it's nothing new.
And here's one
That
holding a
lady,
mirror up to her face.
yeah, yeah, doing some kind of eyebrow, eyelash or something like that. Yeah. And once after doing Sola Shringar, the 16 makeup, lady is stretching her body here, and man is looking at her like man look at a beautiful woman.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. And I just to go to this statue here, this is a
Mhm.
very interesting 20-armed version of the goddess Durga, this one here,
Yes,
right?
yes, yeah.
Which is quite
Mahishasur Mardini.
spectacular. Yes, yes. So the 20-armed version of the goddess Durga in her battle posture. And this is the incarnation of Vishnu yet to arrive, the 10th
Yes,
avatar. It's a Kalki
yes.
avatar yet to arrive.
Kalki Avatar.
as you can see, as you keep going through the stepwell, there's just your eyes just keep on running all over the place, and everything has a story. So it's incredibly rich.
Yes.
Next.
Next. Yes, please.
Right. So we're getting a
Wow.
look at Shola Shringar, the 16
Yeah.
stages of makeup.
See, very interestingly, and there is always a way to hold everything. Like, see this lady is holding a mirror and doing this kind of thing like this. So, like, hands in not in between, perfectly organized. The anklet, another lady is using it. So, there are 16 makeup is mentioned.
Hmm. Right.
We can have all the different one session for the 16 makeup again.
Yes, yes. I was in Bombay earlier in January, and they actually had an exhibition at the Prince of Wales Museum on the Shola Shringar using
Yeah.
in their jewelries. Yeah, so if anybody's going out there, it was fabulous, really, really beautiful. All right, so here we go. This is the Kalki. This is the
Kalki,
avatar of
yes.
Vishnu, yet to a
Yes.
Messiah almost, the equivalent of the
Yeah.
Messiah.
Well, here, that's a Kalki avatar of Vishnu. Yes, Shilabed. And see on the left, this lady is using lipsticks. Nothing new. 11th century lipsticks.
Yes.
And on her legs, one man is doing henna for her.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah, he's doing henna.
Yeah.
So,
And
uh,
the carving is just, I mean, the detail is spectacular.
yes.
Look at the hairstyle.
Hairstyle, you can even see when we go on the Stepwell, when you see personally, you can even see like the hair bands and the beads in her
Mm, yes.
hair.
This
Very
is
clear.
like 11th century fashions.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the statue at the right, see one lady is ready, a monkey is trying to tease her, pulling her skirt down, and she has raised her hand to slap the monkey. Hey,
Mm.
naughty monkey.
Right. Yeah, it's quite delightful what they've expressed, haven't, isn't it?
Yes.
So here we go. So these would be a different type, right, Nirav? I
Yes. Different
believe,
time.
yeah, these are Naginis because they have the serpent. Anything with a
Yes.
serpent is the underworld, like you know, to do with the water, right? So please
Yes.
tell us about this.
Sure. So here the statue on the right with the owl, owl with the owl. Here.
Right.
Oh, here on the right one.
Oh,
Right
I
one.
sorry, yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, about this stepwell, two books are written about this stepwell. One is written by Kirit Mankodi. He wrote about architecture and planning and all. Another book is written by Dr. Rekha Rao. She mentioned more about iconography and all in this stepwell. Well, so according to the scholars, this is a definition of a woman in representing. Yeah. Here on the sea, the three owls on the top. Owls represent wisdom. Owls can see very long, even in the dark. So that shows wisdom. So women are very wise. They can see in the dark. They can think in the dark. So that means they even in a problem, they are very wise. So that's a wisdom.
Yeah.
Now, on her feet, you can see there is a peacock behind it. Yeah. Peacock represent male ego. Many times you find carvings on the house. In any main door of house in India, you find the peacocks outside. So that symbolize or represents male ego. Peacock is a male beauty. So it symbolizes, it says, represent here, the male ego is on her foot.
Mm. So it's
Yeah.
much smaller, much lower than the entire
Lower
sketch.
entire things.
Yes,
In
yes.
her hand, she's holding a fish. It is not clear in the photo, rather also in the same statue here. But we have seen a lot of statues in this stepwell with a fish holding like this, so it's a fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fish represent emotional, sensitive. So that is a definition of woman according to Rekha Rao. Wise as a cow, emotional as a fish,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful that peacock, and dangerous as a cobra.
Ah, here's the cobra, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you
So
have.
that's it. Yeah, and here's the small details about this lady. here you can see on her knees, a scorpion is climbing on her knees. That's such a detail. Scorpion is associated with Kama Sutra, but here it's also some images like this.
Mhm. Yes, beautiful.
Yeah,
Does a scorpion signify temptation? I recall reading about that.
yeah, temptation. So it's all about this temptation, Kama Sutras thing, sexual, it's erotic things, sexuality
Mhm.
in this statue.
Right. Okay. Let's go on to this one.
Wow, this is one of my favorite statue in this Stepwell. There are hundreds of statue, but somehow I like this one. It's very low inside, so photos are not clear. Well, here, a beautiful lady has washed her hair. She's holding towel in her hand, and if you notice that where her hair ends, there is a bird there at the end of her hair, drinking the drops falling from her hair. Yeah, and that bird is a lapwing.
A lapwing. Yes.
Lapwing, which is a common bird in Gujarat in this region. So
Mhm.
lapwing is a bird which catches the monsoon rain, the first rain of monsoon. Then they go in the mating and lies the egg. Even now, farmers predict the rain with lapwing's egg. How the lapwing is. So they're very intelligent bird to predict the rain. Like some many birds and animal has this kind of sense. So lapwing is very sensible bird for predicting the rain. Even now, farmers before Google, lapwing was there to predict the rain.
Right.
So anyway, here it symbols represent that a beautiful lady, when she open her hair, she confuses the intelligent bird lapwing. Lapwing thinks it's a spring arrive and it's going to rain, and now he's going to lay the egg and confuse all the farmers.
Well, it's the imagination of the sculptors is just incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we have some more. This is
Yes.
very interesting, isn't it? This
Yeah. That's see,
man, what is he
yeah.
doing?
Yeah. This see, I think I've been in this stepwell more than 500 times.
Huh.
And each time, yeah, and each time I learn something new.
Hmm.
I'm still learning about this stepwell. For me, it's like a big poetry is written on the walls, on the statue sculptures, on the stone.
Yeah.
Well, so I've been looking this statue for many times, and I didn't know what because doing it now. So only last year I learned about this.
Hmm.
This is a man, and he looks Chinese to me. This
Hmm.
man here is not face structure, and the beard is not Indian, and he holding something in his hand. So I was confused what this man is doing. Maybe it's a Kama Sutra or maybe he's doing something else. But anyway, finally I learned by reading a lot of books. He's doctor, gynecologist, because he has a bag also on his right waist part, right hand side.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he's using peanut horn.
Peanut.
It's if peanut horn. If you Google on Amazon, Amazon still sells this peanut horn. It's available on Amazon. So peanut horn is. Can you go for next slide, Shilabit, please? Then
Yeah.
we come back on this
Oh,
side.
just a sec. I'm answering a question. Okay, just a
Yeah.
second. Okay. All right, here we go. It's a
Here,
Facebook. Amazing.
stethoscope. So that's the gynecologist listening the heartbeat of fetus.
Hmm.
So if you Google peanut horn stethoscope on Amazon, we still buy it on Amazon, which is still used in India, many part in some countryside, in some other countries in Africa, by midwife.
Hmm.
So
Right.
before this ultrasonic sonography, peanut horn was there. So back
All
to the
those
same
years.
slide, please. Yeah,
This is the
back to peanut horn.
the non-technological way to listen to the heartbeat.
Yeah, so we go back, please, to the Chinese guy.
Okay.
Chinese guy. Yeah, see, now he's listening this heartbeat,
Mm,
peanut horn stethoscope. So
right.
that's recently learned, and so the way it's done, like if you look at the necklace is hanging from a chest, and that detail is amazing. So
Yes.
that's the gynecologist. 11th century gynecologist.
Yeah, look at
Chinese.
this and the necklace and everything. The carving is completely like unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah, a Chinese guy. The reason, because we had a big trade between Gujarat and China,
Hmm.
especially in Patan, the silk, they were doing the weaving part things, and silk was coming from China. So that silk was from China. So we always had a trade with China in Gujarat.
Right, right.
Yeah. So next place. So Chinese guy. Yes. So that's the peanut horn fetoscope, which I recently learned.
Hmm.
Wow. Yeah. Well, so here, Patan. Uh, Before COVID, I had some project which I was working with some institute in Hyderabad. Which came first, the architecture or craft? Which was egg or chicken? But anyway, somehow COVID came and the project collapsed. But some I learned. See, these are the some, for instance, stepwell carving, which is also representing the same thing of textile pattern, which is a unique art in pattern called ikat weaving. Patola is a form of
Double,
sari,
yeah.
double ikat patola, double ikat weaving. So same motif we find in our textiles and the same in the stepwell. So it's beautifully done. And all these patolas are done in a silk. And traditionally, it was always a Chinese silk.
Hmm.
From 11th century, the weavers' families, there are few weavers left only now in Patan. And they were doing in Chinese silk. Even now, they're doing some Chinese silk.
Right.
Well, so that's patola things.
It's another one of my favorite panels here to see these
Yeah.
patterns, and then we go to Patan, to the house of the Weaver family. There's only a couple of families left now, uh, and we see these patterns on silk, the ones that we saw in stone. So it's quite amazing. Okay,
Thank
that
you.
is our presentation. So Nirav has recently launched his own label. It's called Indivan, as you can see here, Threads of Tradition. And you'll find him on Instagram at Indivan_Nirav. And basically, Nirav has always been a champion for sustainable fashion, natural dyed and natural made, handmade textiles. And you can see him today. He's wearing a beautiful kurta, block printed. I think, is it ajrak? I can't tell. Yes, it's ajrak.
Yes, Ajrak,
And
Ajrak.
yeah, so on tour, we get treated to a fashion show every day. We get treated to a fashion show of Nirabai's designs. And so, of course, over the years, many travelers are asking him and encouraging Nirabai to start his own label. And I think during the pandemic, it so happened that you were helping some women escape the
Yes.
human trafficking gangs from Nepal, and two of them began working for you. And then you decided, okay, let's start a workshop. And now you have 11 of these,
Women.
women that you've been
Women.
helping, give
Yes.
them vocational training and so on. And then this is the label that they've created together. So please do have a look at that and follow it on Instagram. And so, thank you very much, Nirabai. That was so.
Pleasure.
I have a couple
Pleasure.
of questions. Let's just go to the questions now. So let's see now.
Wish.
We have a question. How do the minders of this stepwell prevent it from
Okay.
filling up during the monsoon if they do try to keep the water out? And how do they prevent large river floods of silting
Okay.
it up again?
Okay. Just a minute. Let me read the understand. Which one is the question? How was the stepwell constructed? No, what was the question? Shall I pardon
The
me again?
question by Sherry. It says, how do the
Sure.
people who look after this stepwell prevent it from filling up during the monsoon? I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
that's a good question. If you can show the first slide again, I can tell about it. Because normally, all the stepwell, even if you look at any of the stepwells, the
This one?
first floor, we have to first, very first, yes, that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here, if you see this kind of goes below it, that's the earth filling in last many years of hundred of years, 800, 900 years. Often stepwell, the first floor, we have to climb the first floor, then we go down.
Right.
So stepwell, the first floor is above the ground level. So it won't get flood of the monsoon into the stepwell.
Okay, so this is the ground level here. This they built,
This
I
is
guess, mod.
the ground level should be one floor down, one floor down.
Okay, this
One,
is.
yes, that's a ground level originally.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when it is a high, the monsoon water will not enter into the step well. So to go in any like Adala step well, or if you Google other step wells, we climb few steps to
Right.
go down.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So no, that's a great question. And then also the second part of the question was that how do they prevent large river floods of silting it up again? So has there been any kind of silting up of the step well since then?
No, no,
Nothing, right?
since then never. It's
So it's
only
quite
the question
arid,
mark,
very dry,
quite air,
this area.
dry, and that river is quite far, 2 kilometers from this part. So there was never that big flood in Patan since
Okay,
then. That river can come 2 kilometers and flood this step well.
right.
Hopefully not yet.
Okay. So another question, when were these statues, the version we are seeing now, when were they restored? So I guess we're
It's
talking
true.
about these statues here. When were they restored? Would you know?
Yeah, so this statue up to this level, we came around 1989 or something. So it was just cleaned it. It was not restored. It was there. We just cleaned it and kept it as it is. So it was built in 11th century. Up
Right.
to this level, we went 1989 something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And Rashmi asked, what is this bird for catching the rain? And I found
Lapwing.
lapwing. Yeah, Lapwing. Yeah, it's a common bird.
Yeah, it's
And
common.
then we also have a question: how was this stepwell constructed? What
Here, this stepwell,
material used?
they used sandstone
Hmm.
as a material. Yeah, sandstone material because they use the local available material.
Mm.
The stone was carried around 100 kilometers, 120 kilometers from this Patan. There is a town called Dhangadra.
Mm.
So even still there are sandstone mining there. The stone was from Dhangadra, around 120 kilometers from Patan. So it's a sandstone. It's a constructed step well. So first there is a lot of thing involved with any other step well. First, we have a community called Odin. Odin is like what we call the West is the water diviner. They find the water sense the water with some instrument stick kind of things. They sense the water. We pick the center point, that main well, and then they must have a proper architectural plan to build the step well.
Yeah.
Then they start from top, digging down where the main center point is.
So
So
they would
that's
start
a
with the well shaft first, going all the way
well
up.
shaft. They put the notice kind of thing there, something digging by water. But construction starts from the first floor.
Oh, I
Slowly
see.
they
So
go
it
to
starts in. I see. So it starts here, around here.
yes, it starts from here.
I.
Because if they start digging, the earth will fall down. So slowly they dig here, but they must have a proper archaeological plan. They
Mm-hmm.
make a center point as the main shaft well, then they start constructing it. So
Right.
slowly they put buttresses, as you were talking about it, to falling the earth inside because it depends on the soil as well. Also, it's not always. But if you talk about this pattern, yes, it started from here. If you talk about the stepwells in Junagadh, Saurashtra, because that's a rocky soil, they
Mm.
can start anyhow. So this is a sandy soil. So they start from top.
Yeah. And this
So
is an
sandstone, but
engineered stepwell as opposed
yes,
to, the ones that were rock cut.
rock cut stepwells.
Right. Okay. So any other
Yes.
questions, anybody? Yes? No? Okay, so I'll just quickly go over to, we have, uh, just want to talk about the tour that's coming up in October. A number of you already registered, and we do still have a couple of spots left. So I'm just going to quickly talk about this. Now, this tour initially was always just textiles and handicrafts and so on. And then for many years, Nirav was telling me, says, really, you have to go to and see the stepwells because there is so much, there is such a linkage between stepwells and textiles. Many of these stepwells facilitated trade routes, and the main component of the trade in this area was textiles. And so if you are just looking at the textiles and you're really not getting the whole picture. And so for many years, I kept telling Nirav, I said, oh, yes, yes, we'll go next year, next year. And then we said, okay, before the pandemic, I think we began planning this tour. And then after the pandemic, we managed to run it in 2022, and it was a huge success, sold out, and I mean, it was just beyond imagination, like what we were seeing. So many stepwells we went to see, and then seeing the synchronicity between the textiles that we were seeing in designs, and then also looking at the stepwells. So many things started falling into place in my mind. So that's why this tour is focusing on stepwells and textiles. So it's from in October, from the 6th to the 20th, and then there's also an optional if you want to do a few more days in Rajasthan. So this is what the tour looks like. We've got 16 days plus another optional 5 days in Rajasthan. We've got 3 nights in Bhuj. We're going to start in Bhuj, where we have our hit of textiles, basically Bandhani, Ajrak, the living design center, which is a beautiful, beautiful museum, and Bujodi weaving. We have 1 night in Hodko. This is the furthest you can go before the salt desert, which forms a boundary between Pakistan and India. And here you find the Bani villages, Banni, which are very famous for their tribal embroidery. They make like very, very fine embroidery. So we're going to go into these Bani villages. And 1 night, this is a new this year, we are going to Dholavira. It's just opened. Dholavira is part of the Harappan civilization, the Indus Valley civilization. And this is one of the sites that's available in India. The rest of the sites are in Pakistan. And so this is like the oldest stepwell you're going to see there, which is about 2,000 years BCE. So we're talking about, almost 4,500 years old, this stepwell. They had a water management system then. And then from Dholavira, we come all the way down to Gondal. More kind of, it's green, and it's it's a different landscape. We stay at a palace. We're going to visit some of the villages around there, visit one of the oldest engineered stepwells, which is Dank. And then we move on to Muli. Again, we're going to see some more, a different kind of weaving there in Muli. We're also going to go and see the Vardwan stepwell there. Beautiful, beautiful stepwell. After that, we come for 5 nights to Ahmedabad. And Ahmedabad is a virtual kind of, you could keep exploring for weeks, but we're curating that, and we're going to take you to Gandhi Ashram, the Calico Museum, absolutely, absolutely stunning collection of textiles, the UNESCO Old City, the Poor, which actually Nirav is a heritage guide. He's a walking guide in the old city of Ahmedabad. And Adalaj, there's a beautiful stepwell. Here in Adalaj, you'll actually see the Islamic influences coming in. Interestingly, the Islamic rulers never wanted to destroy stepwells. They came from very dry and arid areas, so they actually had a lot of respect for stepwells. So in Adalaj, you'll see the kind of the syncretic Hindu and Islamic architecture. And then there's Matani Pachedi, which is another kind of textile. UNESCO Rani-ki-Vav, which we've just been talking about, all the way up here in Patan, double ikat weaving, and the Modhera Sun Temple. So, and then after that, we come back to Ahmedabad, and there's a flight to Jaipur. Now, this part, for some of you who are on this program here with us tonight, we are rethinking this, because I'm hearing from a lot of you that I've been to Jaipur, I don't want to spend 5 days in Jaipur. So in 2022, we had actually done an off the beaten path Rajasthan. So from Ahmedabad, we had gone to Mount Abu, and then Kumbhalgarh, we had gone to Chittor. These are all fort towns in Rajasthan, completely off the beaten, completely spectacular, and gone through Udaipur for 1 night. And there had been stepwells there as well. So I'm going to present that to you, people who are already registered, as an alternative, if that's what you'd prefer. So that's coming your way. And then here we have something about why go on this tour. It's relatively unexplored. It's not like your Golden Triangle. It's still quite uncrowded. And you see there is a stunning diversity of artisanal skills. It's very rich culturally. Of course, the Stepwells, the rural communities, and it's conceptualized and led by our Nirav Bhai. He's our textile and stepwell expert. Also, coming from this region, as you heard, being born here and exploring these stepwells from the time that he was a child, he has deep knowledge and passion. He's restored so many, helped to restore so many stepwells, and he's also documented like hundreds of stepwells on the Stepwell Atlas. So if there is one person who can lead you to a stepwell, it's Nirav Bhai. And yeah, so lots of thank you, Webb, for this lovely testimonial that you wrote. I think it captures basically what this tour is all about. So yeah, so any questions, before I am going to let us, okay, so we've got all the questions answered. Now I am going to, you can unmute yourselves if you want. And yeah, so you can. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Lovely spending
Thank you.
with you. Okay, bye-bye.